Understanding and strengthening our relationships is a very important topic. And as far as my experience is concerned, I have so many clients who are into troubled relationships only because they are not able to understand their relationships better. And today's topic is going to talk about that. So before we start, I just want you to introspect and ask you a question: that how many of you truly understand the relationships we are into? How many of you are able to completely understand, first of all, the relationship that you are in with your spouse, with your parent, with your siblings, or even with your children? So in my experience and the people I meet, I have hardly seen people truly understanding the kind of relationship they are into, what it truly means for them, what it means to be a mother, what it means to be a father, what kind of a relationship spouses they have with each other, what kind of a relationship I have with my child. People really do not understand the true meaning of it. So, but if I ask you a question that, do you know how to make tea or coffee? Most of the people are going to say, yes, we do know how to make tea or coffee. So, did we learn it? Did we learn to make tea or coffee when we were in our mother's womb? I don't think so. No, we did not learn how to make tea or coffee when we were in our mother's womb. What we learned in our mother's womb was learning to be in a relationship. That is what we learned when we were in our mother's womb. We learned the way our mother cares for us. We learned about the unconditional love of a mother. We learned about the commitment of a mother towards the child who is inside her womb. And we learned about how much commitment the mother has towards her child. All of these things are the things that we learned when we were in our mother's womb. And it is like so unfortunate that and it's indeed very ironical that we completely forget about it when we take birth and we start growing up. So what happens then? What happens that we know in today's date that how to make tea, but we don't know how to nurture our relationship with others. So that is what we need to learn. Now here I will talk about the 4 basic pillars of a relationship. What are the 4 basic pillars of a relationship? The first one is commitment, collaboration, communication, and consistency. So do you all have all of these 4 pillars in your relationship? If not, then why not? And let us talk about the relationship with spouse and children, everyone, that how many of you have all these 4 pillars of relationships in all your relationships, with your children, with your parents, with your spouse, everybody. So why are we not able to follow these basic 4 ground rules? Because one of the main reasons is because we are having a lot of trouble understanding the personality of the person and our own personality with whom we are in a relationship with. Be it our spouse, be it our child, be it our parents, we are not able to firstly understand our personality. We are also not able to understand the personality of the person with whom we are in a relationship. And we feel and we expect that the other person should exactly be able to understand what we think, should exactly be able to assume what we are thinking, and that the other person should match all our expectations. So do you think if we are in that kind of a relationship where the other person is also an exact replica of ourselves, all lovey-dovey but no action, so how boring life would be then? What do you think? So do you even think that it is possible to have a relationship which is 10 out of 10? You really think so? I have never met a person who is in a relationship which is 10 out of 10. There is always scope of improvement. Yes, you may be at 9, you may be at 5, but nobody is ever in a perfect relationship of 10. So Basically, why? Because the personalities of people are different. There are some people who are outspoken, whereas there are some people who are introverts. There are extroverts and there are introverts. Similarly, there are people who love to enjoy when they go out, but at the same time there are people who love to enjoy when they are in their house. There are people who love to eat sweets, whereas there are people who love to eat salty food items. There are people who love mountains and there are people who love valleys. What will happen if there is a person who loves mountains gets married to a person who loves valleys? There will be a volcano that will erupt, in my understanding. So, we need to really understand that what kind of a personality do we have? Am I an introvert or an extrovert? Am I a person who loves talking to other people? Am I a person who loves to go out? Am I a person who loves to attend parties? And what kind of a person is my spouse? Is he also similar to me or he is different to me? For all that, that matters. Your spouse may be somebody who is an introvert. He may not like talking to a lot of people. He may love to be in his close group of friends. He may not want to go out to parties. He may not want to eat, the kind of food that you love to eat. So the first step towards strengthening your relationship is truly understanding the personality type of people. And this holds true for everybody, not just your spouse. It also holds true for your children. It also holds true for your parents. It also holds true for your friends as well as your siblings, everybody. So we have to focus on the 4 pillars of relationship, which are commitment, collaboration, communication and consistency. And they are very much in an order, if I may say. So commitment, the first thing is you must have commitment in a relationship. Hi Ella. There has to be understanding, adjustments in every relationship. Very well said, Shweta. Yes. So the first one is that you have to be committed into a relationship. The second thing is no relationship can work unless there is cooperation and there is collaboration. So even if you talk about relationships at your workplace, how will you be able to deliver something at your workplace if you and your team are not collaborating with each other? If everyone is going in a separate direction, no, you will never be able to achieve success. You will never be able to deliver your results. So obviously collaboration is the key to a successful relationship, and it holds true for all sorts of relationships at workplace, with your friends, with your spouse, with your children, with parents and siblings, everybody. The third one is communication. Communication is a very, very important aspect of a relationship, and that is the reason why there is this whole concept of engaging into one-to-one conversations even at workplace. And we do that all the time. If we are working, and I believe most of the people who are watching this video, they are all working, and why are we not able to follow the same rules in our home? Why is there always a lack of proper communication with our spouse or with our children? Why are we always so busy that we do not have time to even spend say 20 minutes with our child in a day, or 1 hour with our spouse in a day? We are giving all that attention only and only to our work. So we need to understand that being in a healthy relationship creates a conducive environment for everybody's growth in our family. You want to be successful at workplace. For that, you first need to be successful in your family. You need to be a successful parent. You need to be a successful wife or a husband. And for that, communication is extremely important. There has always been a culture of one-to-one meetings or team meetings. Why is that there? So that we can communicate properly about anything and everything that we need to do. And the last but not the least, the fourth pillar of a relationship is consistency. So when we talk about commitment, when we talk about collaboration, cooperation and communication, it's not a one time activity कि बस शादी हुई उस समय कर लिया या शादी से पहले कर लिया and then we forget everything about it. No, it has to be consistent. And it's same holds true even for our work. If we are working somewhere, we have to show consistent performance for proper appraisals. We have to be consistent with respect to giving attention to our children. We can't just do it once in a while and then just forget about it. A lot of women that I meet, they tell me that we are so busy, we don't get time to spend with our child. What is keeping you held from not waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning and spend that 1 hour with your child? That way you will be able to instill good habits in yourself as well as in your children. What is stopping you from doing that? Nothing. So we keep on coming up with so many excuses of not being able to spend time with our near and dear ones. But if we look at it thoroughly, we will find out that they are all simply excuses. If we want, we can create a very good timetable, we can create a schedule, and we can at least spend 30 minutes of our day with our children, and we can definitely spend at least 30 minutes of our day with our spouse. It's just that we need to think differently, right? Okay, now how can we achieve all these things? We'll talk about that a bit. The first one is, as I said, spend time together. That is extremely important. Imagine you are not spending time with your child at all. You don't know what your child is going through. When children are young, there are so many things they are being exposed to, especially with the online education system that we have at the moment. Everything is online. They are having online classes, online tuitions, everything, and it makes our responsibility to be more vigilant towards our children. There may be instances where your child may have seen something on the internet. The child is very scared, doesn't know whom to talk to, or somebody is bullying your child. If we talk about the days when children used to go to school, but nobody is there to speak to the child, so where will the child go and talk about it? So it's extremely important for us to spend time together, and same holds true even for our spouse or our partner. There was a study which was done on couples, and it came out that couples who spend at least 6 hours together in a week are the happiest couples of the world. Why is that? That is because when they spend time with each other, they are able to talk about varied subjects. They are able to express their feelings, they are able to express their emotions. When they are able to spend time together, they are also able to talk about things that have happened with them throughout the day, and there are challenges that they are facing, and the other person can guide them or share their views. This increases the bonding between each other. So it's very important that you spend time with each other. And there are various ways through which you can do this. You can exercise together, you can go for a short walk in your apartment complex, you can play some board games together. Hi Ruchika. You can play some board games together as a family. In fact, one of the best ways also is to read a book together. It doesn't mean that you have to read it together. It can also mean that you read the same book at different times. So the wife reads it and the husband reads it, and while they are in the process of reading the book, say they spend about 1 hour reading the book every day, when they get together during the day, they can discuss about the book. So there are different ways using which you can spend your time together, and it leads to a lot of bonding with each other. The second way you can spend time together is create something together. If you have that artistic touch in yourself, if you are a creative person, you can create a painting together, you can create some craft together. There are so many things you can do that. And one of the ways is cooking together. So when you cook together, there is a very conducive environment that gets created for your relationship to get stronger and healthier, because you are there together, helping each other, contributing towards the creation of something which you will eat. And that way you are able to express your thoughts, you are able to use your creativity, and overall it feels really good. The second thing that you have to do is ask for what you need. The problem with women, now I am a woman, but I will openly tell you about it, is that we women think that a husband should just automatically assume everything that we want. Okay, I'm angry, my husband should know by default that I'm angry, or if I want something, my husband should automatically come to know that I want something. It doesn't happen that way. The personalities have been made differently. Okay, women are, I would say, wired differently, and men are wired very differently. So I was watching this very nice program one day on some channel, in which there was an old and very experienced gentleman, and he came with the models of a man and a woman, only the brains, and he was talking about it, and he said that in a man's brain there are different boxes. One is work, one is family, one is, say, food, one is leisure and recreation. But at the same time, in a woman's brain there are thousands of boxes. The family box is also divided into multiple branches, rest and recreation is divided into multiple branches, and then all of them are also connected to each other. Whereas in a man's brain, these are not connected to each other. So, which I feel is right, because I work with so many women and I also work with so many men. I do counseling, and one common factor that I can share that comes out of each couple counseling session is that men think totally differently than a woman. And women, mostly, we assume that everything that we want, everything that we are feeling, our husband should come to know about it automatically. It doesn't happen that way. And mostly when you go and fight with them about it, that I was feeling so sick and you did not even ask me, you will see that they will be completely confused and shocked, and they would be like, you should have told me, I did not even come to know about it. So this is something common that I have found with so many men I work with when I counsel them. So if there is something that you need, please go and ask for it, rather than just assuming that the other person would automatically understand what I need. So if you need something, open those channels of communication, walk up to your spouse and just say it out loud. And the same thing applies to children as well. If you want them to follow a certain schedule, I know that nowadays there is a lot of problem with children that is coming up, that with the online classes which have started, children are not wanting to study. They are spending a lot of time on screen, they are spending a lot of time on WhatsApp, and again we assume that once we have told them they will understand. No. So we have to go, we have to spend some minutes with them, we have to make them understand the big picture, we have to tell them the importance of studying and what can happen if they don't study. So we have to open those channels of communication, and we have to make them understand. The third thing is, try not to hold in resentment, anger and fear. The most important thing we need to understand here is that when we are holding on to resentment, or when we are holding on to anger or fear, it only manifests in some kind of stress which gets accumulated over a period of time, and eventually it leads to some disease in our body because of the mind and body connection, which is in fact a very it's a separate and a very big topic to talk about in detail. But the crux of it is this, that if you hold anger, resentment or fear within yourself for a long period of time, it converts into some kind of physical disease in our body. So don't hold on to this. If you're feeling angry about it, you can, at that very time, do not talk about it, but later on, go to your spouse and discuss it with him in a very polite manner, that this is something that you did and I did not like it, and it would have been better that it would have been done in this way. So you have to also give the solution. Don't just show your anger, but also give the solution. Do not hold any anger or anger related feelings or resentment within yourself, because it is only going to harm you, and it is going to harm your relationship as well. Some of the questions to ask for with your spouse is that how well do you think the last week went, or how well do you think yesterday went? Do you think we spent some time together? Are there any unspoken or hurtful feelings that you have in yourself which you would like to talk about? Because I have these things that I would really like to talk about with you. I have some questions in my mind that I would like to talk about with you, so that it clears from my mind. I'm unnecessarily thinking about certain things. So it's very important that you go and you talk about these things, rather than holding on to them, creating all that baggage in your mind, and then later on suffering from some kind of disease or some kind of relationship issue. One of the ways of doing this, because like when people were working at that time, people used to tell me that I don't get time to talk about anything with my spouse, because I leave at like 8:30 in the morning, and I come back by around 9:30 in the evening. So one of the way that it can be done is just leave notes. And you would have seen this thing in a lot of Hollywood movies, that they would often leave notes not only for the spouse but also for the children. So just write a note and put it there on the kitchen shelf, or near the door, the entrance door, somewhere where people definitely go to, and very happy note that I love you, I just left because I was getting late for office. Let's get together in the evening and spend some time together. So there is no harm in really doing that. And expressing anger, as I said, anger must be expressed in a very, very productive way. So learn what works best for you as a couple in order to achieve this. And it may take a trial and error, because nobody is perfect. We all make mistakes. So sharing and reflecting are basically very critical traits for couples to grow together. And I'm only not talking about couples here, I'm also talking about your children. So if the more you will be angry on them, the more you will show your anger in a destructive manner, the more stubborn your children will become, the more boundaries they will create. And as time passes, it will become more and more difficult for you to approach them, or to even make them understand the simplest of things, right? So we have to cool down when we are angry, and then we have to take a step back, process our emotions thoroughly, and then we have to talk to them in a very, very productive manner, because only for the reason that we have to make them understand our side of the story and why we are doing it, right? One of the other ways is that you must always hug each other, hello and goodbye. So most of the couples in India I have seen is that when they are newly married, they are very, very excited to do this. Every day when you are going to office, you will hug and kiss each other goodbye. But what happens after a few years? All of it just goes away, and we just start assuming things, we just start expecting things from each other. Why not bring in that, love back into the relationship? And the same again holds true even for our children. It would make so much of a difference if you hug and kiss your child goodbye when they are going to school. And I'm not talking about going to school like in pre-lockdown days, but even now. So even now, if they are going for the online classes, just make them feel special by doing that. They will be so happy. They will have this energy with them when they are going for their online classes in the morning, and they'll be able to do things in a much better manner. So these are some of the few tips. Another one that I know is that know and practice each other's language of understanding and love. So some people, they like the language of touch a lot, that they just want you to hug them, they just want you to hold their hand and express yourself, whereas there are some people who don't like that a lot. They like that their partner should sit with them and rather just talk to them openly. And similarly, there are other kinds of people. So again, it comes back or boils down to the same fact that you need to really understand the language of your partner. You need to understand what they like, what they don't like, and what you like, what you don't like. Openly tell them about it, that these are certain things that I would love if you do, and these are certain things I would also like to know what you like, so that we can adjust with each other properly. We can be there for each other, and we can be comfortable with each other. So we need to understand the language, the mental language of our partner, and we also need to understand the mental language of our child. That is very important. Now, it will make a lot of sense if you spend at least some time during the week, probably on a weekend, on Sunday, when both of you have time, and talk about what is working well in our relationship. So just talk about things that, just ask your partner, what do you think is the best thing about our relationship? What do you think was the best thing that happened last week in our relationship? Where do you think our relationship is? And where do you think we should take it to? What are the things that are working well? What are the things that should be improved? It is very important to do these kind of conversations. Only then you will be able to understand each other better. You will be also able to track down action points for yourself, and you will also be able to work towards those action points to achieve success in your relationship and to strengthen your relationship. And then there are small things that give compliments to each other. Always encourage your child, even if your child has done something which may be very little for you. Still encourage your child, saying that, wow, you've done a wonderful job, and if you could have done it in this way, it would have turned out to be even more beautiful job. So you encourage your child consistently. Again, so consistency is the key. You have to be consistent in all these endeavors. It's not that you do it for once and then forget about it, right? So these are certain things. And last but not the least is give each other space. So every relationship requires growth together, but also individual growth. And the way you can help a person grow as an individual is that you give them space. Each party has their own personal goals. Every person has their own personal goals and objectives and desires, and relationships outside of the relationship which still need to be nurtured. So what I mean by this is that your husband is your husband, but your husband is also somebody else's child. Your husband is also somebody else's brother, and there are so many other relationships as well that he has, and same applies to you, that you also have so many other relationships that you need to take care of, not just with your partner or your child. So it's important that we give each other space so that we can even nurture other relationships in our life, not just this one. But even for those relationships, the rules remain the same. Commitment, collaboration, consistency, communication, all these things are a must for the success and for a strong relationship. And if these things are also not working, in that case, my suggestion is that you do visit a therapist or a counselor, so that you can understand from them about what are the things which are working and what are the things that can be improved to strengthen your relationship further. So I think that's all that I have from my side. Hope you all like the inputs and you are going to follow them, use them in your lives, and make your relationships beautiful and very, very healthy. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.